Hello, here we are again with Mookie Tenembaum. We are exploring through these videos his philosophy, his disillusionism, and his misalgic theory about human behavior as a way of avoiding suffering. And for a second week in a row now, in this weekly exercise we are doing to try and apply his concepts to everyday life, we are going to talk about sex life. But last week, we tried to analyze the effects of the ongoing COVID pandemic on sex life from, I would say, private, personal, psychological point of view, and thinking especially about what had already happened and what was happening. And we didn't have enough time to cover what might happen, what are the consequences from a social and a historical point of view, the long term, so to speak, of the effects the pandemic has had and is still having on our sexual lives. So we are going to try and focus on that on this video. And in the meantime, it will help us understand more concepts related to disillusionism.
Well, yes, the word they use, carnal relations. Yes, that word, it's becoming less and less accurate. Yes, relations are becoming more fluid. Yes, there is now a fluidity in gender fluidity. Yes, people who are so there is a fluidity in the word carnal sex and in the word sex in general, I guess. But what I first wanted to describe in our lives, if you were here, we're going to talk about the future and about the us, not about the me, not about each one of us. The effect of what happens to each one of us, yes, or to each one of you, on this on the social front. First of all, let me remind you what does it mean to live in a pandemic, and how do we approach our life? First of all, we are dressed. We are underdressed. Yes, we are. There is overdressed. Yes, we are underdressed. We basically are dressed, not very well combed. Not everything. People are they don't shave themselves too much and so forth, and it's very comfortable. I have to say, this is not something we have to do an effort to do. That. Yes, an effort is to get dressed. Women get makeup and men get groom and they groom the beard or not beard. There is a whole thing to go out. Why? Not just to be attractive. I think that's too much. That's tall order. Talking not to be disgusting. and the word is too big. But there is no other word I can really use. Not to be repulsive. Again, not a very good word. Just not to be. Not to be noticed. Okay, that's the whole idea. Okay, interest. Somebody looks at you, you're paid attention. You are not out there necessarily or to be attractive. That is something that happens maybe on a Saturday night more. You get the overdressed and the shoe shine, and I don't know what people used to do. Listen, I don't remember anymore. It was a year and a half ago. But the word disgusting, yes, and the word repugnant or repulsive has to do with what the subliminal message we get from the way we dealt with the virus. So every time somebody touches something, do not touch it. And they come and clean it. Sometimes in restaurants, they come with alcohol and somebody touched the elevator. So you do this with the elevator. So there is a repulse there. This is the animal in us, what I call computer one working. Evolutionarily speaking, we are programmed to feel revulsion. Yes, look how many synonyms I can find for the same word. Yes, you are supposed to feel that, and those who did not and ate that food or drank that drink or had this contact with that person or that specific disappear because they got sick or so. That is an evolutionary advantage. Now, once we living in that situation, not one day. It's not that you are sick 5 days and you're home and everybody uses different towels, and open the windows. When children were sick or you get, even if you get hepatitis, but it's temporary. And the rest continues the same. Here, all of us, people are going around with a mask. I mean, mask is really, the message is something not good out there. And here I have to explain, it goes both ways. I feel repulsion a little bit, disgusting a little bit from the other people. And this is becoming the way I sleepwalk. Okay, that means in disillusionism, sleepwalk is 95% of the time is what we do inertially, for once, those who don't know the term. And you start sleepwalking this way, and now you don't even think, if somebody touches something, it is already a problem. Even if you're vaccinated, even if you had already you were sick, even then you have a problem with that. And that problem, Florencio, is a warning sign in things to come. Tell me, what do you think about what I'm saying?
It's quite gloomy, and the words are not very nice, but I see what you mean, and I think we explored this in our previous video on sex. The carnal aspect is under threat after, I would say, almost 2 years of disgust in all these different levels, right? But I wanted to ask you, because in a way, this is just one side of a sort of pincer movement, right? Because as the bodies, as the carnal elements in our traditional sex life decay in a way, the other element, the technological element, the distancing element provided by computers, provided by smartphones, provided by the internet, it's developing, it's growing. It's, I would say, we've been doing our homework, we've been reading different articles. I would say almost on a daily basis, new developments appear on the other side. So it's even worse if you think that at the same time as the physical, material, carnal aspects somehow shrink, the virtual, the distancing, the technological elements, they keep growing. So I wanted to ask you about this sort of convergence on our sex life.
Let me give you an example. If the AIDS crisis would have happened now, it would be the end of sex at this point. Why? Because the options are great. At the time that happened, there were only porn films you could rent. That was it. That was the option. And then, of course, you could easily solve it by using a condom. And there is something there, and this is to have sex. This is if what keeps the world functioning is the desire, is a sheer desire, and that keeps people getting closer. They become a couple, they get children. All that part, all that movement is now, I would say, it became less important, less strong, and it can be channeled towards the technology we're going to speak about. Last time I spoke, Florencio, about the VR. Yes, and there were the webcams, and then you have VR, and that means you look like with the eyes of somebody else who you use his body or her body, depending who you are with who you are connecting, and the sex scene, it's almost like happening to you, almost. Yes. Now, this is very different from watching a pornographic movie. It's much different. This is happening today. You can buy yourself your Oculus VR. I mean, the porn companies, they even promote them and sell them. And then what will happen next? Now here, there is something that is quite cruel. We know that what another person can give you in sex is going to stay stable. It's the same in the last 20, 50, 100, 200, 1,000 years. I don't know. It never goes up. This one, the technological one, keeps on improving. So you compare it to something that is static and the other one is growing. Okay, you don't have to be a genius to understand where this is going. Now, what you know when and if you are in a couple, if you are you are part of a household, the other person gets older as well. Okay, so the whole future of your future, not the future, is, I mean, it's obvious where it is going.
Then I ask you now, how will this affect not my future, which I understand perfectly where it is going, and I have to say it's not unappealing at all from where I'm standing, but how will my future, our individual futures, affect the general scheme of things? As you said back then, what keeps the world moving? What will the social impact of these changes be for societies as a whole?
The best way to know what the future will look at like is start looking what the present looks like. Let's first go to numbers. 10% of the people who are natality, the amount of children born after once the pandemic began went down 10% in all the Mediterranean countries. In the countries that used to have basically a higher reproductory rate. That means even now, with the technology we have now, it's 10%. So the first thing we have to think is what will happen to the way humanity will grow. You understand that when we're talking about when you have things like holograms that are coming by, okay, there will be a hologram. You will get to sit by a very beautiful woman of your choice, whoever you want, real or unreal, managed by an AI who knows everything about you and about the person. You know, the more it gets, the closer it gets. We know there are dolls, yes, sex dolls. They were nothing. I mean, before years they were just pieces of plastic. Now they look very real. You even have, you know, what is a 3D printer? 3D printer is, to the people who don't know, is somebody sits in an office in Seattle managing Pornhub, and you go there and you say, I want to choose a penis or a vagina. And they will give you a whole gallery and you will say this, and they will push a button and that will come out from your own printer as many times as you want. Now, one more thing, prices are going down. And imagine now prices are down because prostitutes have left the business to become virtual, as having virtual sex. But once you have AI, the amount of women is unlimited because AI can produce what's called deep fake with real people or unreal people, the way you want, tailor-made, and that's what you're going to have. This is going to be an unlimited, with no limits whatsoever, just money. And as I say, money probably will go down. So if natality goes down, Florencia, seriously, we're talking about a problem for humanity. Now, is this for sure? Is this what's going to happen? Of course, I don't know. But think about this. Today, you sit when you wanted to go out with a woman or a man. You prepare yourself, do everything, and then you have to go out of the house, and then you have to go. And there were many risks. I'm not talking about serious risks. Yes, not life risk, but risks. Things were not going well. The restaurant will be closed. So many things can happen. And then sex does not have to be very good and so forth. But that was the default. Either you do that or you stay home, watch a movie. Now the default is not that one. Now we know the default is virtual sex. How do we know that? Well, we gave two numbers. 48% last week, 58% of the people already tried virtual sex. Number two, 35% of all the downloads in the internet before the pandemic, let me say it again, before the pandemic were porn movies. I think it's obvious where it's going.
The numbers speak for themselves, and as you say, both these statistics are actually from before the pandemic, because of course the porn downloads are before the pandemic, but also the 10% drop in natality rates. It's accounting for couples that were formed in all probability in 2017, 2018, 2019. If we look forward, we will see what happens with natality rates now that new couples didn't form during 2020 and 2021. So in all probability, this 10% will be 15 or 20% in the near future. I ask you, I know I'm asking a disillusionist about illusions, but I ask you, what do you think illusions will do? Because families, religions, national states, every illusion we have discussed in the past has a vested interest in these matters, needs people to function. So will they stay idle? Will their players just watch and see what happens with these numbers? Or is there something they can do? Is there policies they can apply?
Very, very interesting, because here we get both illusions and misalgia, the running away from suffering, finding itself in each other. First of all, illusion have no vested interest in anything. I'm sorry, Florencio. Players have vested interest. Illusions, there are not illusions. But yes, I know what you meant. You meant the players, and they have a vested interest or not. Think about it. It's for them a big problem. They will never see the benefits of their policies, because governments last for 4 years, 8 years, that's it. And this is something on a much longer term. But having said that, they have two choices. Trying to be nice or getting things done. Yes, the two. The first one, trying to be nice, is giving money to people to vaccinate. Yes, that's about the whole idea. In this case, what you do is they will come and say, okay, we'll pay you to have more children. If you have children, we'll give you a lot of money. Everything will be free for the children, for you, for all the other children. Everything will be great. 2 children more, 3 children, 4 children, you're a billionaire. I don't know what they do, but they will give you things.
We've seen this in Japan, in Western Europe. There are schemes in this direction already.
Yes, but these schemes take in account one thing. There is already a couple.
No.
If there is no couple, I mean, nobody goes today to a bachelor and says, hey, if you have children, we'll give you. I don't have yet a wife. I don't have yet a partner to have children with. That's if when you're outside. Now you are inside. I told you there is repulsion from the other one. You don't have to get dressed. Everything is there. It's cheap. It's totally a la carte. Totally 100% a la carte. It's private. No STDs. Yes, in fact, there were a lot less STDs during this year and a half. That is not surprising. Nothing. I mean, you have to try first to get him out of the house before you get him to have children. There are many steps so this is probably not going to work. Although I'm sure they will try, because it's not their money. That's the great thing about being a player. You can give away money that is not yours. It probably won't work, and then they will have to go into enforcement. How? Forbidden. There is no permission to have webcams. It's immoral. The work of the women who work in that is it's an abuse. It's slave labor. But the problem is that AI will supply you with virtual people. They do not exist. Of course, government says no. It's not good either. We don't want to do that. This is not good. It's bad for you. It's bad for population. It's bad whatever. Still, they need to be able to stop it. Technology is always much better. Pornhub is not just one or more companies. It's one of the companies. It's not one more company in the world. It's one of the biggest, strongest lobbies in the world. And don't forget, people will be in their favor. If you have to vote, you will not vote for them. So that probably won't work either. At the end, it won't work. So what is the future? in my opinion, we are walking into a population trap. Some people will tell me, yes, but this is not happening in India or in Pakistan the answer is not true. In India, that's the biggest amount of downloads is porn today in India. Today. Remember, everybody has a phone now. People have a phone. A guy who is in Pakistan who cannot have sex with his girlfriend until he's married, he'll use a phone. And they will try to block it. And he will find around it. I have no doubt about it. So it may take longer. But at the end, we'll all be in the same population trap. And once the population goes down, it will be very, very hard to pick it up again. Very hard, especially that technology will continue to become better and better all the time.
So, interesting, as always. A tad worrying, but interesting. We'll be all right. In this case, for a change, I see how the benefits of the new situation far outplay the risks involved. I think for a change, this is an optimistic video in many ways compared to many others we've done. But we are almost out of time. I don't know if you have any last remarks. I think we've covered the main issues.
I think there is one more thing that I wanted to explain, and this is, again, it has to do with being with the default. The default now will be sitting in your house having virtual sex. Not everybody. Again, if this happens only to 20 or 30% of the population, the disaster will take longer. It just take longer. It just will take longer. And again, the new children from whom they will learn all these ropes. So what I'm trying to say is that this is the default, and once this is the default, once we're in the comfort zone, and once we know that we don't have to do anything and just sleepwalk into this, to get people out of the sleepwalking thing, you need another pandemic.
Won't be easy. Thank you very much. See you next time.
See you next time.
If you enjoyed the video, please like it, comment and subscribe.